Hey, welcome back to the Baco Motorsports Power Hour. We're here for our second segment of the day, brought to you by Bakersfield Speedway.
Here we are.
Here we are, and we've got Scott Schweitzer in here, and pretty busy weekend, but we'll get to go on what's coming up next weekend first. Got sport mods, street stocks, American stocks, and mini dwarfs, right?
Yep, got 4 divisions out there this Saturday night. Going to be a good night. Sport mods have had a couple of weeks off, and they always bring a great car count. So looking forward to a great show this Saturday.
And the street stocks, there aren't a lot of them, but they put on a good show.
They do, yeah. Great car, but good horsepower, good bunch of guys, and they put on a great show when they show up. So looking forward to having them back as well.
Okay, and we got $12 for general admission, $10 for seniors, $10 military, $5 for kids 6 to 12. It's easy for me to say.
Yeah.
Kids 5 and under is always are free, and camping and parking are free.
Yep.
So good night to be at the races right before school starting too.
Yeah, bring the family out. We got great admission prices coming out. We've put on a good show, good entertainment, so we're right there.
Okay, and you had a pretty busy weekend out there.
We did.
Last weekend.
5 divisions of racings, highlighted by the late models, which always put on a great show.
Late models, you had Tommy Malkin come up on top of this one, right?
Yeah, Tommy, a young kid from Corona, California, always competitive. Showed up and was fast right out of the trailer and put on a great race.
And here it is, a little action. Here we got about 12 cars out here. Car count's kind of dropped as the summer is going on, it looks like, but still put on a great race.
Yeah, it's that time of the year where everybody's trying to get those vacations in. It's hot in Bakersfield as well. A couple of cars got tore up in some other races and lost some motors. So we were off a little bit, but still the cars that did show up put on a great race. The track started to lay down a little rubber, which always creates some good racing. So it was a good night.
Yeah, as they say, kind of blued up there, and you can see they're working through the corners pretty good. And how'd Bobby Hogue run?
You know what? Bobby showed up racing the 10N car for Rob Sanders, and he got caught up in the very beginning. He had some lap traffic or slower cars to get around, but once he did, he started reeling in Tommy Malcolm. If this was a 50-lap race, probably would have had a very interesting finish there, because Bobby's always tough and knows how to negotiate the cars. So did a great job. We want to thank Rob Sanders for he's down with an elbow injury, and he's been bringing other guys, other quality drivers, and putting in his car and supporting our show. And I got to thank him for that.
Well, that's a good deal. So you got that. And speaking of Bobby Hogue, there he is. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Tom Mott providing the photos here, and Tommy Malkin, little victory, little check.
Yeah, he got a $1,500 check there for the win, so it's a good night for Tommy Malcolm.
Not a bad night. Tommy Malcolm, Bobby Hogue, Clay Daly, Cody Laney, Nick Bartels, Devin Crockett, Larry Childress out of Bakersfield, Steve Drake, who won here a few weeks ago, and Carla Laney rounded up the top 9. Then a big hobby stock race out there, too. I see we got Aaron Stewart's running right here.
Yeah, we all, for the people that don't know, August, we call it Hot August Nights, and we allow the race car drivers to take the tops off the car, kind of give a different perspective because of the heat, and let the fans know what's going on inside. So in the 37 car there, Aaron did it, which was pretty cool. Let the fans know what's going on.
Yeah, I always find it interesting. It's nice. I like the guys who take the tops off, so to speak, because it gives you a totally different perspective. I think fewer guys are doing it, but the ones who do, it's fun to sit up in the stands and see them work the wheels.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand how much they're having to work the wheel, and with the tops off, they can see that.
Looks like another good field for hobby stocks, always competitive in this division.
Yeah, it's a tough class, and Ralph Cook in the 78 had a great run going, had a great lead, really worked his tail off, and then we had a late caution, and during that caution, lining up the cars, we're given the one to go. His car started backfiring, spitting. He, was having some mechanical issues, and then when we went green, he had to pull off. And then from there on, it was a great battle with Steven Johnson and Kevin Collier going right down to the end. So great, clean side-by-side racing.
And interesting enough, Ralph Cook's car number 78 used to be his age, but for anybody who doesn't know, that gentleman is a young 80 years old, and you can see he's still running strong.
Absolutely. Ralph's a great supporter of the Bakersfield Speedway, and, he's always there, ready to go, taking it serious. And, for 80 years old, you gotta tip your hat to that man out there battling with all the youngsters out there and doing a great job.
Yeah, plenty of side-by-side action there in this race.
And here's where it was coming down towards the end of the race, and a great battle between Johnson and Collier, and side by side for quite a few laps, never touching, and is back and forth. So great way to end the hobby stock race for the night.
Okay, plenty of action there. As we see, we got Steven Johnson winning, Kevin Collier out of Porterville, Mike Bully, Ricky Childress Jr., Aaron Stewart, a good top 5 finish for him, Lloyd Wren Jr., Kyle Fife, Cody Chambers, Kyle Wood, and Ralph Cook, 10th place. And should be nice to see if Ralph could get a win.
You know, I really thought he had it Saturday night. Like I said, he had a great lead. He was out on him, late caution, little mechanical difficulty, and that kind of put the cap on his night.
Yep. And a big night in American stocks as usual. Pretty close, tight points battle in that race. A lot of cars showing up there, and you can see you roll the video here of what was going on.
You know what? American stocks, you know, they're battling. Got a good points lead, points race going on, and guys fighting for every position. And the 17 car here, Kevin Irwin was driving the 17 tonight or Saturday night, and looks like he got a left rear flat on in this photo here, but it. Started out kind of wild there,
as is often in American stocks.
You know, the American stocks, I will tell, you know, they're usually our first main event, and after we prep the track, we do bring it back, but sometimes there's a little moisture, and we run it in until they're ready to go. So, you know, usually a couple of those spin outs at the beginning of the race are the track's got a little moisture in it. So, but they always. You know, they come out,
do a good job.
They do.
And put on a good show, and a little incident there that we'll talk about a little later here.
Okay.
But as you can see, lots of side-by-side, this is like a late August American stock race. It's getting to be a long season here. Guys are tired of one another, I think, a little bit, and tempers will flare and cars will spin, and we'll get to the checkered flag, and somebody's going to win this thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's that time of the year, and it's hot out there, and they've put a lot of effort in for the whole year, and there's some beating and banging going on, and that's where I think the tempers start flaring.
Got Brian Childress came up on top of this. Pretty happy there in Victory Circle, and has a right to be.
He is. You know, I know he's switched cars during the year. He's, you know, been working hard and doing a lot of work at home, and, you know, this is where it pays off on Saturday night in Victory Lane.
Brian Childress, Kevin Johnston, Chris Settlemeyer, Mike Hill Jr., Mike Waters, and the rest of the finishers there. We also had a little Okie Bowl hardtop action out there, and missing the front fenders on this one.
Yeah. You know, these are a great bunch of guys. I say it every time that these guys work hard, you know, putting these old cars back together and getting them safety where they're safe to come out there and race. And, man, they put on a great show. They're not afraid. They're not just wheel packing out there. They're definitely going for the win and always put on a good, entertaining race.
Yeah, and these are, for people who don't know, these are cars from back in the day, maybe the 1950-ish era. And they're modernized, different suspension on them. Most of them, you know, small block Chevy engines, so you can work on these things and keep them going. But they put on a good show, and it gives you an idea of what it looked like back in the day where they were running at that very track.
Yeah, and it's really fun to watch because they look pretty top heavy, and you're thinking that every time they go into the corner that they're going to roll over or something. But they get around there and put on a great show, and the fans like to see them, and we have them 4 or 5 times a year. So works out right, works out good for us, works out good for them.
Yeah, probably just enough for them. They can run 4 or 5 times a year, work on the cars in between. It's not too serious, but they get out there and they want to win, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not easy to find a part on there. You know, anytime they break something, they got to engineer or come up with something that works. So, you know, hats off to that bunch of group for putting in the hard work to come out to the track for us.
And Mark McCaslin came away with the win. That's not uncommon.
No, Mark McCaslin is a key player in the Okie Bowl hardtops, and we appreciate everything he does, and it was nice to see him get the win.
And then the last one, the Mod Lights, not too many showed up, but this is a class that's going to grow, is it not?
Absolutely, a beginning division, or a new division, I should say, not a beginning division. And the last Mod Light race, couple of cars got tore up, and they're traveling cars, and they had called me and told me they weren't going to make it. We knew we were going to be light. There's still some new cars being built in town, some stuff going on. The division will grow. I'm not giving up on them. I know we're going to have nights like this as we're building this division and getting it to grow. So I appreciate the guys that were able to make it, and we're going to stand behind them and get this thing to grow.
Oh, that's reminiscent of the sport mods that started with 4 or 5 cars.
Absolutely. I mean, when you start a new division, you expect that, and it'll grow. We know it will.
Zach Forrester, former late model driver, kind of cherry picking a little, but he's checking out the car that his daughter's going to drive probably next year, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, that's what the word is. Zach was instrumental in coming out and testing these cars when someone first bought 2 of them. Zach came out and ran them on a Sunday for us, and it was really gave me a different perspective of these cars and to see how fast they'll go. So gotta thank him for that. But yeah, it's gonna grow. He got him a nice car, and he's supporting us, and it's gonna be a good division. Just needs some time and some where these guys can get these cars back together and get them going.
Yep. And there's the finishing order. And then we also have a little, as we were talking about that American stock race, if Chris can roll the video there, it was reminiscent of what we're talking about, drivers coming onto the track. And here Dakota Brown gets punted out into the exit. And as we'll see here coming up, he's none too happy. This is a short track racing Saturday night. And I've been out there for more than 35 years, and I can tell you, I've seen this scene a lot of times with a driver coming out of a car and a little unhappy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, with the national media frenzy that's going on with what took place with Tony Stewart, and then, like you just said, there's incidents like this at every racetrack, at dirt tracks, and they're labeling this a big fight. I mean, this was just a driver that got upset, that got hit, and his voicing his
they
frustration.
never got to fight because the officials
Obviously,
were there. There's a lot of action going on.
Yeah,
but the officials were keeping them apart.
Right. We have officials. Our officials know what to do. They went to every car. Obviously the people get out. They're frustrated. And our officials contain all that. But the bottom line is we can't have racers coming out of their car because of what took place. So in our aspect at the dirt track, we are implementing new rules about getting out of your car. If you get out of your car, you're going to take some time off. I mean, it's the bottom line that you need to stay in there for your safety, for everybody else's safety. And if you want to get out of the car, I mean, if there's situations you need to get out. If you're on fire, medically or whatever, and we understand that. I mean, but
yeah, you can tell in a situation getting out of the car because you need to get out of the car.
Absolutely.
And getting out of the car because you're going to go after somebody.
Right. And I know there's the emotions there, the adrenaline and all that, but the bottom line is driver safety, fan safety, official safety, workers, everything. So, there's got to be a line drawn, and, we're going to do that at our facility. I know other facilities throughout the United States, are going to do it as well. So, unfortunately, like I said, bad timing for this to pop up, but, we don't condone it. We don't try to use that to sell tickets in any means, and this is not what we do. We're professional. Our racers work hard. This was just an isolated deal that happened.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, and boys will be boys, men will be men, and they'll get spanked a little from now on, and so maybe that'll eliminate some of that shenanigans.
Well, I hope so.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in, Scott, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you,
We're going
Mike.
to take a break here and get ready to go into our next segment on the Baco Motorsports Power Hour.